Skill 14, stop the Sark. Many of you are probably wondering, what is the Sark? I appreciate Jim Wilder, who has helped students of the life model learn this very important skill. This is what we would call false Godsight. So sarx is the Greek word for flesh, and it's basically man's strength, the flesh of man, and it's often very much opposed to God's spirit. So when people use the Sark, what they're doing is using the flesh to make decisions and to basically navigate their life. We could say that when Jesus was interacting with the Pharisees, who were basically wanted to stone him and throw him off a cliff, they weren't using eyes of the spirit. They were using the flesh, or what we would call the Sark. That was their determination. And this Sark requires active opposition, because this is where we get accusations, blame, resentment, gossip. Just as skill 13 helps us see from God's perspective, skill 14 is all about seeing from our perspective apart from God. We can think about Job's friends. The moment they started speaking, they were using the Sark to basically say, Job, you've done something wrong because God is punishing you, and whatever you did was really bad. So let me tell you what I think you've done. Then at one point, Job says, what miserable comforters are you? In other words, they weren't seeing him through the eyes of heaven. They were seeing him through the eyes of the flesh, which does not result with peace or joy. So skill 14 means we learn to recognize the signature of the Sark, the flesh, and we learn to see when it's at work, and we stop it, and we learn instead to use skill 13, which is seeing some of what God sees. If you've ever been on the receiving end of accusations or had somebody throw the Bible at you, just like Job's friends, to try to explain your suffering, you know what the Sark is. It's not a very fun thing to go through. Skill 14, stop the Sark. We learn to see people as God sees them, and we stop the influence of the flesh.